story goes back 18, 19 years, 1988 and 89, when Islamic insurgency started in Kashmir. Entire Kashmir was swayed by the slogans of Islam. यहाँ क्या चलेगा निज़ाम मुस्तफ़ा, पाकिस्तान से रिश्ता क्या, ला इलाहा इल्लल्लाह. You develop that mentality where you decide everything on religious lines. You are trying to solve the Kashmir issue on communal lines. Religion is an emotion very close to your heart. It was quite natural for anybody like me to get swayed, to develop that mentality. So did I. I used to go for sermons by Jamaat Islami leaders, but they used to teach you what jihad fi sabilillah, holy war for Allah, what it means. They inculcated deep into your skin, into your thoughts, that it's absolutely essential for you to fight in the name of Allah. I got swayed. I tried to cross over to Pakistan to have military training and fight the Indian forces. But I decided that I shouldn't be leaving my parents like that. So I left a chit under my pillow one day, telling them that this is what I wanted to do in my life. And next day they called me and very kindly defined what jihad means. Holding on to your own desires, killing your own desires, not living for yourself, living for the people, living for the people created by God. That is the biggest jihad. And luckily the time proved them right, and I didn't go for jihad. I didn't join the militant ranks, and I'm peaceful. I'm living my life today, and today I can realize my parents were right, and they have been proved.
When the bomb blast of 93 happened in Bombay, I was a student, I was a kid, I was in school, and my breadwallah was burnt alive along with his whole shop. And that was the first time that I actually encountered conflict face to face. And I thought to myself, why is it that these people who looked perfectly happy before all this happened are now burning each other down? So I asked my father, and my father said, you should think about it. And that's what I've done ever since. When I started studying security in university, I dealt specifically with the South Asian context, and it became evident that you couldn't talk about security, you couldn't talk about politics in India or foreign policy or defense or the nuclear policy or anything at all without talking almost entirely about Pakistan, and more specifically about Kashmir. When I came back and started working in Delhi, I met a lot of Kashmiris and spoke to them about Kashmir. And it occurred to me that what was important to them was the fact that this was their homeland and it wasn't a secure, governed space. It was not a space where they could go to school, go to college, live a normal life like we do in the metros or in the rest of India. It wasn't a political problem to them. It was a problem of governance and a problem of sustenance. And in South Asia, especially in India and Pakistan, I think that context helps focus on conflict as a sociological problem, as a social problem, not as a political problem. And I'd like to move as much away from politics as possible in order to be able to study conflict subjectively, not objectively.
Shaini, let me give you an exact sense as to what exactly is happening.
I come from Kashmir, I grew up there, and now I'm a journalist. I work out of Delhi, and I do Kashmir for my channel.
There's a huge crater around 300
There is no disputing the fact that Kashmir is a disputed territory. If Kashmir goes to Pakistan, it will be proof that the two-nation theory was not just something on which the partition was based. It will be proof that it is true. A Muslim majority state going to Pakistan after such a long time after the partition, and at the same time India needs it to secure its secular credentials. But what is scary for India is that an entire new generation of Kashmiris is on the streets asking for azadi peacefully. Measures have to be in place so that these very people don't turn to the gun once again. Kashmir is, as I see it, is one of the few Muslim societies that has made the transition from bloody violence to non-violence to achieve a political cause. And it's an opportunity Why do you want to alienate an entire generation which is not scared of the gun anyways? You curbed the militancy in the 90s with brutal force, and you have a generation which is not scared of that force. How do you deal with them?
My name is Samir. I'm a journalist. I work I'm with the Times of India. I've done stories on Kashmir and on people-to-people contact and Indo-Pak ties. My family is in Kashmir, they're based there, Srinagar and other parts of the valley. I spend my childhood in Kashmir. Is it dangerous for Kashmiris to go to Jammu at this moment? हालात तो बड़े खराब हैं, very bad situation. Is it Srinagar से भी खराब situation थी? Childhood was very different. It was literally under the shadow of gun. Freedom was very limited, and the constant stress about the safety and security of my family. Every time my parents used to go to work, I used to be stressed out. If they would be late by say 5 or 10 minutes, I used to be really stressed out. If you leave for work in the morning, there was no guarantee that you'll return safe in the evening. I remember once my sister and my brother were caught in a crossfire and they had a very narrow escape. It's very difficult, particularly for a mother, when you're not sure whether your kids will return home. So it's difficult, it's traumatic. The majority of Kashmiris believe that the Indian civil society has failed them. They've not stood up for them. They've never condemned human rights violations. People in Kashmir complain that civil society has taken a nationalist view on Kashmir, and leave alone the state. State has failed miserably.
When I graduated from university with a master's in international relations, I wanted to come back to South Asia and do field work, and I came to New Delhi. I heard about WISCOMP and about how they did cultural work through various media, not only academia, and how they were so focused on soft power by India and within India to resolve conflict. I also wanted to do more sociological, cultural, people-to-people interaction-based work, and that happened via WISCOM.
The young people who are coming in from Afghanistan have a sense of the culture on the one hand and the educational scenario. WISCOM was set up with the idea of facilitating the engagement of women in peace-building processes. As you know, women hold up half the sky, and yet their voices are significantly absent at negotiating tables, especially when peace is being negotiated. The areas of security have, by and large, for a long time, remained a male preserve. We really wanted to look at the gender dimension of how patriarchy operates in society and sometimes militates against peace processes. When we are talking about conflict transformation, we are talking not just about changing structures, not just about managing the immediate conflict, but building long-term relationships whereby stereotypes are broken, trust is established, and dialogue begins.
My name is Javed Jabbar, born in Chennai, living in Karachi, a Pakistani by choice.
I'm Kuratulaim from Islamic University in Pakistan.
I'm Urshi Hashmi from Islamabad, Pakistan.
Nazura from Pakistan.
I'm Swapna from the University of Cambridge.
My name is Jaman from Pakistan, Balochistan.
I am Ali. I am from ISSI and not ISI.
Dialogue is ever flowing, never ending. A solution that presents itself today may be changed tomorrow, but the process of dialogue involves people coming together and moving from a fractured past to a shared future.
600 years of coexistence, and just the 60 years, relatively very short period in history, of these divisions and this mistrust.
We also attempt to look at building pedagogies for peace, looking at how we can transform young minds into accepting difference, being able to live with difference and celebrate difference, so that you don't identify yourself as either only a Hindu or only a Muslim or a Parsi, but you recognize that in today's day you move in and out of multiple identities, and that each of these identities need to be understood in the historical context, the societal context in which they are foregrounded.
There was a lot of consensus among participants, but on third one,
That was more, I mean, jitna bhi gali galoch and whatever we are talking about, I guess that was the third one.
At the end of the workshop, questioning the notions that we came to this workshop with and how they've changed during the course of it. I applied and attended the conflict transformation workshop held in December 2007 in New Delhi, organized by WISCOMP. And the 5-day convention absolutely turned me around as to my views on civil society in New Delhi.
At night, his Muslim friends would sleep in the shed of his home while Puraji and his 4 sons worked on guard. This went on for more than 15 days and nights.
As far as academia was concerned, the best academics were there. And it was amazing to see how much the bringing together of minds, and especially the younger generation, could lead towards the discussion of these issues. You know, at the convention, none of us were looking at a long-term solution to the Indo-Pak conflict. We were just talking, and that can be so important. And there is no forum for us to talk. That, I think, is what civil society is all about. The fact that it makes reconciliation and tolerance integral to members of civil society, not a conscious effort. Maybe to begin with, yes, but eventually it moves towards a discourse where we look at one another as similar, not as different, that has to be brought around to our points of view.
The entire philosophy of Kashmir was hurt by this exodus of Kashmiri Pandits. That's one of the saddest things in the history of modern Kashmir that such a thing happened. We took a lot of pride in our secular ethos, but without Kashmiri Pandits, the secular ethos sounds meaningless. So Kashmiris across the board believe that unless Kashmiri Pandits come back to valley, the entire philosophy of Kashmir is meaningless. I will go to the extent of saying that Kashmiri Pandits have the first right over Kashmir, and that there should be no way that they shouldn't come back. I read a story on this Kashmiri Pandit doctor who stayed back, Amit Vanchu. I heard about him and I bumped into him while I was at a coffee shop in Srinagar. He lost his grandfather to insurgency, and in spite of that, the family decided to stay back and live there. And Amit told me how his neighbors and friends made sure that they feel at home and they have the enough confidence to stay back. When his grandfather died, nobody from his family was able to come because of the fear. So his Kashmiri neighbors, Muslim neighbors, they arranged for the funeral and for everything. All of us recognize that Kashmiri Pandits have suffered. It's the worst human right violation. If somebody is forced to flee from their motherland, or exodus is imposed on them, then I think it's the worst human rights violation. There's this sense of hurt as well that they had to leave the place. We feel very sorry for it. I personally feel very sorry for it.
For better or for worse, the geopolitical situation post September 11 has changed so much that India and Pakistan cannot afford to essentially work in their own space and have a series of gestures to each other off. They need to get onto the negotiating table and work out their disputes as fast as possible so that they can concentrate on larger problems, because when you have a superpower like America in your backdrop for Pakistan, and then you have China, so the balance of forces needs to be achieved fast. I believe in that sense geopolitics will determine that 50 years on where we go with this conflict, and will it be relevant as a conflict at all. At some level, the people of these two countries will come forward, are coming forward in fact. The media is getting stronger in both the countries, thankfully, which is resulting in a slow change of perception. I think that's where the change will stem from eventually.
I've been asked to speak on sharing views in virtual space, the internet and the blog as new tools of conflict reportage. When we talk about journalistic endeavor, we talk about multi-party stories, we talk about the scope of the medium. It's immense, it's mind-boggling, it's something which is which probably what humans have created and have no control over. News reporting for the new millennium, a nexus of backpack journalism, narrative storytelling techniques, and the internet, designed to reach a global audience hungry for information.
Talking about people power and civil society movements, Musharraf was very well set as a dictator before he meddled the judiciary. And it is in fact a bunch of lawyers who were instrumental in bringing down the dictatorship down. Same way is in India, much as the right-wing parties have tried to make religion an issue, they have failed. Even in a state like Gujarat, development is the key pole plank. And these changes are driven by people who essentially don't give much of a about religion, about politics, about identity. The goings on in the minds of an entire generation is the car EMI, the house EMI, there is blogging, the information flow is greater, so we don't have pent up feelings. This generation, when it eventually takes the charge of forming the policy, will form the policy based on these parameters, not based on what happened to someone's granddad in 1947. I think that's where hope should come from. Striving to be happier people will eventually drive these conflicts to resolution. As long as the people whose lives are being affected by these conflicts, directly, indirectly, as long as they want them resolved, the conflicts will be resolved.
Even Kargil, will the Indian army ever be able to forgive the Pakistanis for that?
Whether we can get over it?
Yes, in the sense that forgive the Pakistanis, because every time you try to help them, there was Lahore. So, sir, then do you see a better relationship evolving between the two militaries? Let me put it this way.
Well, better in the sense, I mean, a lot of it has to do with the political backing. As far as the militaries are concerned, you wouldn't believe it, there is no problem. Of course, I mean, when I say that again with some worry, because your military and our military are, there's a lot of difference. I mean, your military has a much greater say in political decisions.
When I was growing up during a certain regime, it was a very negative figure. But now that I've met all these people, when I go back, I'll tell my daughter, I'll tell my friends, if God forbid if there is a conflict, so then, it wouldn't be that, that hatred element has been, reduced, I guess. But then, you don't believe all the crap that they tell you on television anymore.
Yeah. I have really become hopeful that there might be chances for South Asian Union now. It's the same like European Union. There are possibilities. Maybe we are moving towards it.
It was good to be here, and whatever we have exchanged, I guess there was friendship and frankness, and it was all about trust.
Not only trust in personal relationships, there were consensus, we were trying to, we were outside and Samad was talking, Preeti was there, so we were actually trying, is it possible, can we live together? Can India and Pakistan coexist in this region? So there was an honest attempt to look at these issues very seriously.
I've never had a chance to meet as many people from Kashmir and particularly from Kashmir Valley as I have during this trip. It's very touching to actually hear from somebody who has lived near the LOC and can tell us of the experience, and it really is quite an enlightenment.
I'm neither from Pakistan or Kashmir or India, but the level of acceptance and open arms, just everywhere I turned here was it was exceptional.
It's not always a government rhetoric that everyone follows. So just talking to my friends from Pakistan, it was very interesting to know that we shared similar perspectives on quite a number of issues, say Kashmir, from Kashmir to arranged marriages to quite a broad variety of issues that we discussed.
I was ecstatic at the end of the convention. Also made very many really good friends. There was a point where I had so many friends in Pakistan after the convention that I'd be online 20 hours a day chatting away, and every one of them wanted to come back and wanted to talk and wanted to engage more and shop more and eat more and laugh more. And we all really felt like one. We hugged and we said, I don't know why we have to be so horrible to each other at a different level, because we're so happy to see each other and be with each other right now. I don't think that any institutionalization of confidence building measures comes anywhere close to what that 5-day convention did to the lot of us. I applied for the Scholar of Peace Fellowship offered by WISCOMP in 2007, and I proposed to research women in Afghanistan, more specifically in the National Parliament. I wanted to examine how conflict can be resolved or studied through the lens of policy, a very statist perspective on a societal phenomenon. I'm doing a monograph that I call the Veiled Gulesi. Gulesi is Dari or Farsi for the common man. So it talks about women parliamentarians and the representation of gender and how the two could be mutually exclusive. Academia and civil society is so much of a subculture that it almost isolates itself from its larger cause sometimes. And this is a good way not to fall into that trap, by bringing academia into the sphere of hands-on work in areas of conflict towards peace.
What is the scene with Kashmir elections? The fact that I have a unique perspective on the conflict, in the sense that I am from the conflict and yet I am reporting on it with no associations with it. I think what I put out in terms of my stories will be a balanced view, because I understand the nuances when it comes to geography, when it comes to language, when it comes to religion, when it comes to politics. But then again, since I am not clouded by four of these, my stories will essentially be what actually is happening on the ground, not what I think is happening on the ground.
In Agra with video journalist Karamveer Singh, I'm Rahil Khurshid.
As long as I am able to retain the objectivity in my work, as long as I am able to retain that perspective which has not been clouded by my religion, upbringing, or any of those issues, I think my stories, howsoever number of people they get to, will result in changing of perspectives when it comes to having an informed opinion, having an unbiased opinion about the conflict, about the players of the conflict, and about the way the conflict should be taken forward on the road to resolution.
There is no alternative to dialogue and reconciliation, and we Kashmiris are open to dialogue and reconciliation, and we want a solution to the problem. We have suffered a lot. There are graveyards everywhere, all over the place. 60,000 people have died. Those are the official figures. But the unofficial figures, people say 1,20,000 people have died. So Kashmir has seen a lot of death and destruction. We want an end to it.
Hi Sammy, कैसा हो?
मिटा दे अपनी हस्ती को अगर कुछ मर्तबा चाहिए कि दाना खाक में ही मिलकर गुलो गुलजार होता है. So it's a philosophy of my life that one has to leave his egos and one shouldn't be arrogant, and one should experience different people and should be open to ideas. As a Kashmiri, I'm open to ideas, I'm open to dialogue, I'm open to reconciliation, I'm open to diverse views, I'm open to dissent. And if we have the open, all of us, all parties involved come out with open minds, then only we can think of a solution to the problem.
So
Holding on to your own desires, killing your own desires, not living for yourself, living for the people. That is the biggest jihad.
There is no disputing the fact that Kashmir is a disputed territory. If Kashmir goes to Pakistan, it will be proof that the two-nation theory is true. And at the same time, India needs it to secure its secular credentials.
When the bomb blast of 93 happened in Bombay, my bread wallet was burnt alive along with his whole shop. And that was the first time that I actually encountered conflict face to face.
The process of dialogue involves people coming together and moving from a fractured past to a shared future.